Okay, hello everybody. We are starting on class 5. Um, and we're going to be covering, and this is one of the sections is probably we get a lot of questions on where stuff gets duplicated. Uh, Before I launch it, I just want to note, because this will go into play on here, because we'll be starting with John F. Kennedy, and you'll notice here Caroline does have a family. She has kids. Uh, John F. Kennedy has a wife, but no kids. And then Patrick, well, he's 2 days old, so obviously no wife, no kids. That's going to just come into a play in how some of these settings get affected. So we're going to launch Family Book Creator. And we're going to be covering 4 tabs, but in reality, it's all one tab. On items to include, we're going to be covering the primary, partner, child with main section, and child no main section. So these 4 tabs, but you can see they're virtually identical in the options. And let me just open up a thing. And I want to first explain exactly what a primary, the partner, and especially what these 2 child sections actually mean. Because in the book, okay, we're doing okay from John F. Kennedy and Jackie Kennedy. So in this family, the primary partner and the 2 child all go by each child section, each family section. So in this case, John F. Kennedy is the primary. Jacqueline Bouvier is the partner. Now Caroline, you see she's got a plus. So this will be, I'm sorry, I accidentally clicked when I shouldn't have. John F. Kennedy Jr. and Patrick don't have the plus. So this plus means Caroline is going to fall into the child with main section. It means Caroline's got her own family section. John F. Kennedy and Patrick, they don't have a plus, so they are only listed here with their parents. So that is what the child no main section means. It means these children they're only listed with their parents. They don't have a family section of their own. And kind of what determines how they who gets it is back on the starting screen. It says create family sections for if you specified all individuals, well, then no one will fall into this section because everyone will have their own family section. Individuals with children, that's how I've got it in this book. So Caroline was the only one with children in the later generations. Now, if I did say with a children or spouse, then John F. Kennedy Jr. would have, there'd be a plus sign, and then there would be a section for him. And then only living individuals, well, I've never used this option personally, but if they're living, they'd have a family section. But usually you have one of these 3. So, but in this case, I'm using this section. So, and because, and you'll notice like Caroline, basically there's just very basic information. Basically, okay, she was born. Where John F. Kennedy, it's got stuff on him, his wife, Patrick, where they're born, died. There's more information, notes. For Caroline, since she falls in this, I generally only select, here's where you select what facts, and I basically only pick very basic facts, no notes. And then that's why, because later on down in her section, basically here's all of her information, where she's educated, and then her stuff on her husband and children. And then here you can see, oh, Tatiana had a child. And this is just stuff I all pulled off Wikipedia. So it's all public knowledge stuff. Let's start going through, let's see here. Let's just start going through. Okay, you can decide whether or not, I'll cover this section for the facts later. Basically here you can tell whether or not you want to include the person notes or exclude them. Or if it's a private note, you can tell it to include. Same thing with research notes. You can tell it to include or exclude. Now, something to be aware of is in Family Tree Maker, research notes are private by default. So if you do want to print the research notes, you either get in Family Tree Maker, either mark them as not private or just tell it, okay, include the private notes. And that's just, let's see here. I did a thing where maybe it's down in Caroline. No, that was a different one. Let me just do a quick. Some nice things got out of order. Let's see here, notes. Here we go. Yeah, so here, printing the person notes, basically here this was all part of the person note area right here, so that's how it printed. If you want them to stand out a little bit, you do have an option of putting a label. So you can just put a, let's see here. Oh, I wanted to go into, okay, I gotta just minimize this down. No, because I'm bringing out the family book creator, yeah, users group. No, that's not there. Close. Actually, I'm just switch to that. Okay. Here are certain tags you can put in the notes. I mean, you can just do something where it just says you can just put in the words like note, and I did. Do that. Let me just see where did I put that? Notes label. It wasn't this one. Well, let me just do this real quick. So you can just do a thing like say note. This won't take too long to create. except when you're doing it via oops, except when you're doing it via Zoom, then it takes a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm not sure where I saved that one, because I usually have them labeled. Um, okay, the note didn't print. Why not? I'm on primary, person notes. Oh, okay. Okay, that's not the person note. Here's the person note right down here. Okay, that's why it didn't make sense. Because it prints the facts, then it printed the person note. This was the person note. This up here was a fact note, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So, yeah, so note sometimes that stands out, sometimes it doesn't. So that's where you can add in come on. You can start adding in, these are certain cases where BR will do a line break. Let's see, I've got where you can put in like a line break. And then, so like here, so it says, okay, in 1935, it does force a break. Whereas before, let me just, well, I guess that one had a break there too. The line break makes more sense where it's in a fact note. You can do, but you can also do the a new paragraph, so you can force it to be on a new paragraph. And I might have done this. Yeah, so here, yeah, see, here I put in a paragraph note with the word note. You can also do bold, where you could put in, okay, come on. The, so if you want something like bolded, you can put this B, then in between these two symbols, whatever you put will be bolded, or you could do italics, underline, small caps. And then you will see, yeah, here, this note, see, it's bold. So this I did on a fact note. So it makes it stand out a little bit more. And likewise, this I just did with the research note, where I told it to include it, but didn't check the I didn't tell it to include private. So on Caroline, it's like, okay, here's her person note. See, it did not print the research note. If I do take this thing to also include that, and with Caroline, it says, okay, here's the person note. This is the research note. Now, I literally just typed in that just as the note, just for an example as to what is what. Here I put like a birth fact note, a name fact note, education fact note, just to exemplify where they print. And like I said, this is where you'd put that if you wanted that stuff bolded, you'd put it in like this, like the B, then I believe it was a /B. You know, so whatever you put in between, because that starts the bold, that ends the bold. So
Can you hold that a minute to copy it?
yeah. Yeah, and Doreen said, would you label it bio and use this label to include information about the relatives' personality traits? Or attach it. Yeah, you can, if that's you know, if that's what you use. This will be the person notes for every primary person. So if that's all you use the personal notes for is, say, maybe their bio, sure, you can put in bio, you know, but just make sure that's going to do it for everyone or every primary person. And then typically, huh?
Where does the table, is where is this table where you can find how to put those labels in? You are back at that
Oh,
table.
that's in the
Is that
family book. That's in the Family Book Creators users group, or the Family Book Creator users guide.
okay? Thank you.
And yeah, I just select like formatting notes and stuff. So yeah, so yeah, and you can combine them. So here it says, okay, so that will put in a new paragraph note. BR, there'll be a line break, so it'll drop it down. You'll put in your text, and then that ends the paragraph mark, you know.
Yeah, the / ends it, right? Tells
Yeah,
it to end up. Okay.
yeah. So this tells you those codes that you can use that in.
Okay.
And you can use them in all these, and then likewise for any, if you include in the fact notes. And now the big thing to remember is when you do these notes for partner, you've got the same options. And just because you change it here, you should also change it here or add them here, because this will be the partner. This is just for the primary person. This is for the partner. And partner also does have relationship notes. And that's not to be confused with a fact note. Let me just get out of here real quick. Because if you go to person and then click on relationships, so down here, then see here, you can put in, okay, here's, oh yeah, and I did a typo there. You can put a relationship note. So it's not tied to a fact, but it is tied to the couple. So, and just while I'm here, before I start up, someone asked where the research notes were. Here's the notes. This first one here is the person notes. Right next to it is the research notes. And you can see that padlock is kind of highlighted. That tells you that it's private, which they are by default. You'd have to uncheck it if you'd want it, you know. But like I said, research notes are private by default. And likewise, if you got the various notes, you can just double click on it and it'll take you right to them, as long as they're already created. So, but okay, let's get back here. Yeah, Stefan actually included the links to formatting the notes too. So, before I go on to here, yeah, then the only other option is like if you want to include the portrait photos, that would be like these photos right here. And then the include, if you mark the photos private by chance, you'd have to include check that too. And let me just see if you do use if you do click the under options, if you do click this create plain text to and do not use tables, the port yeah, I think these portrait I don't know why that's still allowing it. The portraits won't appear, and I covered this in a previous class. But if you got them checked and they're not displaying, make sure that that's unchecked. So, and then let me just see here. The only other section before I go on to here is these two child sections. You can tell it not to list the details about children, and these are linked. So it's like, you know, if you check it on one, it's the same for both. And all that matters is if you don't have the default section, let me just double check where I got that. Well, I'll just tell you, if you don't have listed the details, basically it will cover the person, their partner, if they got it. This section right here would not be included. And then likewise, but then Tatiana has her section, but then likewise her child would not be printed, you know. And you do have options where you could list the child names elsewhere, but that's what that thing does. Okay, do we have any questions about this before we go into the individual facts? You'll have to unmute yourself. All right, let me just go through the questions real quick. Yeah, I covered the research notes. Labeled bio. Okay. Okay, now here this will list all the facts, and now the way these are listed is all based on this options where you can tell it to say list all facts, where it'll list every single fact, which I usually don't, because if we do here, then you know, see here there's an ancestral file number, there's a lot more facts. I generally just list the currently used facts types. So if that fact's not used in this particular tree, it won't show up in the list. And then just I like having an alphabetical order because otherwise it's just kind of well, it's probably not random, but alphabetical, you know where to find stuff. So this lists every fact that's being used. Julie asked, can there be only one primary person? Yes, but that's on a per section basis. Yeah, I guess I didn't really cover that. Let me just go back to this one. Because in this one, this family section, John F. Kennedy is the primary person. Jacqueline's the partner. Caroline falls into the child with main section. John and Patrick fall into the category child no main section because they don't have a main section of their own. Now when we get down here to, okay, here's Caroline. Now in this family section, Caroline's the primary person. Edwin is the partner. Rose will fall into child no main section. Same with Jack Bouvier. Tatiana will fall into the child with main section. And then likewise down here on here. Now Tatiana is the primary, George is the partner, and Edwin is the child no main section. So it's all on a per family section basis. But there is only one primary person per family section. Okay, so now you can pick the facts, and some you can tell how you want to display it in family book creator style, family tree maker style, and I'll be covering all these different formats. And you'll also notice like individual predefined, I think somewhere, I don't have it on here. I did have a thing. If you do have a custom fact, I don't believe you got the family book creator style option. You just got the family tree maker or these others. But if you use family book creator style, then you've got all these sorts of options. Now, in this case, I use military service. And this is how for John F. Kennedy, this is how I got it. It's like basically this is when he enlisted to, well, it's not showing on here, to when he ended. He enlisted at in Washington, D.C. There's a fact note, a description. He served in the U.S. Naval Reserve, and then there's also a fact note where it's kind of about a paragraph of information. And let's just see. Okay. So the first option was omit description. Okay, so yep, I already loaded this one. Let me just get back up to here. So basically, here's how it says John served in the military in Washington, D.C. district between September 24th and May 1st, 1945. And then this right here is the fact note. Kennedy planned to attend Yale Law School, blah, blah, blah. So this is how that information would display. Now, if I tell it do sentence, go sentence dot description. So that's the sentence style, and then it will do the description as a sentence. It looks like this. Okay, so John served in the military, September 1st. And then it just says, okay, U.S. Naval Reserve, because that's what the description was. And see, before this, it just did not print the description. Come on, let me just close some of these. Okay, if you tell it sentence, okay, then description is in parentheses. Then basically we get this. Okay, John served in the military, and basically it just said, okay, U.S. Naval Reserve in parentheses. So that actually looks nice. It actually looks better this way. It all depends. This is just kind of how you should be consistent at how you enter stuff. If you would want to put in the description an actual sentence, that's where you'd probably use this prior option. And then this one, it's like, okay, yeah, sentence description, the periods at the end. sentence, okay, it puts a period, and then it'll just do the description field in parentheses. I mean, it's just literally where it moves the decimal. And then here, if you want, what are those called? Ellipses, rather than the paragraph or the paragraphs. So I didn't do those. Okay, in place description. So what that will do, yeah, so he served in the military, then here, so in place in Washington, D.C. And then description was in parentheses. So that U.S. Naval Reserve. And Stefan also put references in the book to where it is. It's on like page 39, 45, 46. Kind of it's just nice seeing exactly how it does. And you can also do, okay, at description in place. So yeah, so it just says, okay, John served in the military at U.S. Naval Reserve, then in Washington District of Columbia between those dates. Same thing at description, comma place. It's the same type of thing, at description. So at the U.S. Naval Reserve, comma, the place. Then it continues with the sentence. So, I mean, once you understand what these things do, it kind of makes sense. Okay, at location, in place. So it's going to be, so served at description in place in Washington, D.C. So it's just all on how you want it. Now this one, at place, in place description. So it's kind of similar to these. But then there's also a option, sentence description. And how this was defined is that if the description is more than 2 words and ends in a punctuation mark, it will display it like this. Sentence description. If it doesn't, then it will fall in the place of this in place description. So here's where, let's see. Yeah, so here, see, I'm still saying U.S. Naval Reserve. There was not a period at it. But now when I changed it to, I changed the description to say he served in the U.S. Naval Reserve. See, now it falls into this latter half. So served in the military, Washington, D.C. between then he served in the U.S. Naval Reserve. So, and then these are just kind of the same thing at description place. Otherwise, basically, if you got these 4, as long as it's set up like he served in the U.S. Naval Reserve, it's basically going to print out the same way, no matter which of these sections you're going to do, which is basically the same as this one right up here. So, but if you've got somewhere, some you do a sentence and others you don't, that's where it's like you can have it choose between the two. So yeah, and Randy said, is there a different default description file for each fact element? Yes, there is. You set this for each fact. Well, name you can't change, but occupation you can't change that. But like residents you can. You know, you set these for each individual fact type. You set them for each individual fact type, how you want each fact to display. And this is why it's key that you're consistent, like how you enter all birth facts. Like some birth facts I like to, some people may put the doctor. I like putting, if I have the information, you don't have it for a lot of the older generations, but like some of the newer generations, I like putting like the time. Sometimes you get, okay, this was born at 3:03 p.m. They were 21 inches. They weighed 6 pounds, 12 ounces. I like putting that in the description. But then I'm consistent about how I do that with birth and what goes in that description fact. Same thing with maybe like a baptism where you might have godparents' names. Just be consistent how each fact, the burial fact, if do you have the cemetery name in the place field or the description field, or do you have, maybe like on Find a Grave, sometimes it says, okay, it's in section 2, plot 48, just be consistent how you enter that stuff, because you get to work for one and then it will basically, like a burial fact, it wouldn't work well, say if you put in say the lot number where it's at, but then maybe on someone else you put a thing saying, well, we're not sure if this was the death date or the burial date. Well, that's two different types of information, but it's all going to print the same way. And likewise, once you do get it, like I said, for primary, partner, these could all be different if you want, but generally you'd want them to be the same. You would have to select the facts of how you want it, but say, okay, you go through like the smell, okay, I finally got this printed the way I want it. What you can do is you can copy this fact type option, and then you can right click again and say, okay, I want to paste it for all the military style fact options. So before I do that, let me just go to partner, military. Let me just change this to, say, family tree maker style. So let me copy this. Now I'll paste it to all the family service field types. So now if I go to partner, see, that's still the same way. Child, same way. It didn't select this one, but it did set that option. Same thing with that. So this is a way that once you do have it set up, you can have it copied to all 4 of these sections. And then you do this on a per name fact and say, oh, this is how I got military. Yeah, maybe I'd like description to be, graduation to be the same thing. Well, when you copy it, you can also, I could paste those same options to say all the graduation. Oh, that one didn't copy. Oh, okay, I had to paste that first and then I can paste it. Yeah. So that's how you can copy them between the different sections. Okay, I'm gonna just, let me see here. Did I? Okay, you've also got the option to display in family tree maker style. Oh, Renee, do you have the details about birth in family tree maker, or are you doing the details in family book creator? Everything gets entered in family tree maker. So it's all depends upon Well, I don't have the military, but basically it's whatever you'd put in the description field, like here on birth, or the fact note for it. Everything's entered in Family Tree Maker. You got the option of doing Family Tree Maker style. In Family Tree Maker style, you can manage facts. You can select the fact type, click properties, and then here you use this insert. Or it uses this sentence structure, and then so here it even gives you an example of how you change it. So John Doe served in the military on, he usually does today's date in, and then whatever's in the description. You can do certain things, because like the DNA markers, because I record if someone's done a DNA test, and I will just have DNA info. Well, most people don't want to know what their DNA kit numbers are, at least on family history book. But I just done say, okay, person has taken a DNA test. So I just do it like that. So when I do, so like for that DNA markers, just go back in here. See, I tell that just to use Family Tree Maker style. And that. Just moving the zoom box around. And then I believe just comes out with, yeah, so it just comes up like that. She has taken a DNA test. Rather than saying she took DNA test XYZ123, it just says she's taken a DNA test. If you'd want to say that, like I said, you don't have to print that fact if you don't want to. Or include fact note as paragraph. Let's see here. Well, this is back on the military. Yeah, the fact note. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, so here in back on that, see, rather than printing the military stuff of when you joined, it literally just prints the fact note itself. And this is just everything that was in the fact note for that military service field. So sometimes if you just can't get the fact note to print the way you want it, you can go into the fact note area and you can just write it however, whatever you want, and then that's how it will print. Include as fact attribute in narrative. That's this one here. So yeah, so this just kind of lists, okay, it's a military service. Then on September 21st in Washington, he served in the U.S. Naval Reserve. And then here's that fact note. Oh yeah, and at this point in time, I also changed, I split out the military service into 3 separate categories, 3 separate facts. Because that's also where, yeah. Sorry, I'm feeling a little disconnected here. This is also back when military service, you can have it whether it only prints the preferred fact, because now I've got 3 facts, or if it's unchecked only preferred, and like I said, this is all on a per fact basis. It would print them all. So like here, I told it just print the preferred facts. Well, it only printed that last one, which was preferred. without the preferred. Now it prints, okay, so here's the one in 1941, followed by in January 42, and then in April 43, it prints that. What are the benefits of 3 military facts? Well, sometimes, well, like I said, before I initially said he is in Washington, D.C. with that range. Well, that kind of implies he only stayed in Washington, D.C. He didn't. As military, he traveled around. He could have gotten promotions and stuff like that. And well, like I said, here um, states, okay, he served military to sea, he served uh, he is in the Naval Reserve. But then in January 42, he is in the military in Charleston, South Carolina. And then in April 43, uh, he was assigned to the Mortar Torpedo Squadron 2, which was in the Pacific. So it can, yeah, so it can just explain more in detail. And I mean, certain things that you would have duplicates would be like census facts or residence facts. Some people stay in the same location, so it always says the same location. Some people moved around a lot. So it's like for residents, they didn't live just in one place, like, well, even John F. Kennedy before, he lived in Brooklyn, Massachusetts, between 30 and 31, he lived in Bronxville, New York, you know. Sometimes you have one fact that's like an occupation fact. I mean, he may not have the same occupation all his life. He had different jobs, you know. So that's why you'd have multiple facts for the same thing. Okay. Yeah, include fact attributes, narrative. Okay, then the other options, occasionally you'll get some facts that just don't print well in a narrative format. So here you can do it as a list of events. And then you got your choice. It goes like D1 starts with like D or P, where it basically does date and description online, followed by place and notes, or date and place, followed by description notes. And then whether it's in like kind of the left, middle, or rightmost column. So if you do like table D1, see, I'll list military service, date, and description, because that's what D1 is, date and description. Then P1 it's date and place, and then description, and then the fact note. So so see, so basically this one and the place, they're just swap locations. So this date he is in District of Columbia, he served in Naval. January he is in Charleston, April he served there. And it's also noted if you do as a list, these always come after all the narratives, irregardless of when it happened. So these facts always come at the end and just before the next section. Then here, just example, like just do P2. It just basically puts it more centered. Okay, come on, Zoom. Whoops. Come on, how can I hide that? Can I move that? Oh, I can move that. Yeah, just get this kind of so it's lined up. So basically, yeah, I think, yeah, what was, yeah, see this Kennedy, this note, it just kind of basically forced it over. I mean, it's real minor at how this happened. So, and then the P3, which basically just puts everything right aligned, you know, so here, boom, it's just more all on the right. So there's like the P1, P2, P3, so it's just kind of all more on the right. So it's just all on alignment of how you want the facts. Um, the paragraph, yeah, military service. Yeah, this right here, this is the fact note right here. So it's like this is the date, this is the place, this is the description, and this is the fact note. And if you look, that's exactly, you know, really how it says it: date, place, description, notes. And the other options is do a table list. So it's like date followed by place, description. Um, you know, so it's like basically here's the military, here's the date, place, description, and then the fact notes. So I don't use this. I'll use, you know, I typically use like one of these two, just to save space. But you know, like I said, it all depends upon how you've entered the data. Uh, and it just gets a consistent feel. So, and the alignment of the fact, that's all based on um, the alignment. It's all based on which table style you do. So the D1 P1, like I said, the only difference between D and P is whether it's date description or date place. And then they all got D1, D2, D3. D1 uses the middle and right column. D2, it uses the middle and right, and then D3 is all rightmost. So uh, the ones and twos are almost identical. It's like I said, it just varies slightly. It just varies slightly on the description. So so it's just and how do you add you just go to the person tab, you just go to add fact, and you just add them. You can add as many different facts as you want. So, and the family tree maker group can help you with that. I mean, it's just a matter of adding them. You can only add one on the right side, but you go to the person tab and you can just keep adding them. And like I said, you do this for each fact. And like I said, partners, the only difference between partner, well, you got the relationship notes. You'll also have the shared facts. Partner is where you'd set any, like, so for marriage facts. That's where you'd set that. And then the two child sections, you got where there's no main section, you got the option to include the spouse or partner details. So just kind of going back to well, let's see here. Yeah, because like see here, you know, John F. Kennedy, you know, here you see his wife's information. If this was set to come on, move out of the way. This was set not include that, then it's gonna look like this. It'll just do the details of John, but not his spouse. So that's what that option would do. And like I said, and this only applies to if they don't have a section of their own. Because if you notice, like Caroline, even on this other one, it doesn't display her spouse, even though she's got one and I've told it to, but she's got her own family section because down here, here's her information, here's her spouse. So yeah. So details, yeah, if you got certain private facts that maybe you wouldn't want on ancestry, but would want to print, you just have to make sure if you've got any of those facts that are private. So is there a filter to exclude repeated information for a partner that is already given for primary? For example, I have census reports that are sometimes repeated in a marriage partner because the partner long outlives primary. I'm not sure if I follow. Can you unmute Randy? It's typically on a census, you've only got information for that one person listed for them. You wouldn't have information on a census for a person. You wouldn't have partner information on it, other than maybe number of years married or something like that.
I'm unmuted now. So
yeah.
sometimes I put I've repeated maybe by accident or maybe on purpose over time a census report on both the head and the wife, because the wife might long outlive her husband. So I didn't want to always have to keep deleting that from output from the family book creator.
Well, I mean, well, you wouldn't have a census record for a husband if he's deceased, though.
But sometimes I have it for before he deceased too. If I'm wanting to look at a thread based on a certain person.
Well, I mean, if you got, say, like a husband, say, that died in, like, say, 1942, and you got a 1940 census along with the wife, and if he died in 43 and on the 1950 census, I don't see why you'd have a 1950 census for the husband if he's deceased.
But I'm talking about if I had a 1930 census report for both, in both their profiles.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't want to have the 1930s show up on the partner notes. Isn't that what I've seen?
Well, they'd both have a 1930 census, but I mean, on the 1930 census, you're going to have just the husband's information for the husband. For the woman's census, you're going to have just the woman's information.
Okay.
You wouldn't put the husband's information on the woman's 1930 census and vice versa.
Okay, I'll look again and see if that's really a problem I've seen.
Yeah. Because I mean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
John, to back up with what he was saying, that just brought into light. So like in Ancestry, I was keeping the whole census for the whole census page. So you just copy out a sentence just for that individual person from the census, just their individual line, or you have a full page for the wife, a full page for the husband?
Well, the whole page for the census downloads, but for what I record for the person, it's only for it only applies to that specific person.
So you
I'll
copy and paste one line. You'll copy and paste like just John Fassbender's line and put that into the description.
yeah, well, I'll put the information in the description for something that just applies to just that person. Like for like myself, well, I'm not on any census yet. But you know, like my mother, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like I've downloaded the census, you know, where it's her mom, her dad, herself, and her brother. But you know how it's recorded in each for my grandpa, you know, it has just his information, his age, you know, yeah, the location's gonna be the same for all four of them. But where they're born and like sometimes different information, like the 1900, 1910 census, women that asked, this is the US Census, if anyone's curious, you know, it'll say like how many children have you given birth to, how many are still living, you know, that only applies just to the wife. You know, I only apply that information, you know.
Okay, because I just see now that might have a problem with lots of pictures of the same exact
Yeah.
census, like 1930 on 4 or 5 different people.
Well,
So I'd have
yeah,
to
but
do.
if you download, if you use the web merge or from if you use the web merge or if you do the merge on Ancestor itself, yeah, you'll have multiple citations, like one for each person, or you can have one citation for all four. It's but I believe it's Ancestry will create 4 citations, but it'll have the same image linked to all 4 citations, so you still only got one image.
Okay, thank you.
So
But it sounds like there's no simple filter anyway for any fact that might be repeated in both, that we didn't need to repeat in the output.
no, other than, I mean, if you'd want to do partner, say if you'd say, okay, I wouldn't want to print the residence or census facts for that. But then, you know, like I said, if it's something, you know, if the but if the spouse isn't the primary, you know, it wouldn't say, okay, if the husband died in 1932, the 1940 or 50 census wouldn't print either for the spouse, you know, if you have that unchecked. I mean, I'm using residence here rather than census, but
Sure. Okay, thank you.
yeah. And like I said, you can always manually edit out. It's a pain. I try not to keep any editing and Word done to a minimal, just since if you ever put out updates. So, but this basically covers all 4 of these sections. Like I said, it's just understanding what each of these 4 sections are for. And then, like I said, you just specify the individual, you know, stuff of how you want to be displayed. And just be aware, you know, like cause of death. It's like I found when I started doing this, I'd enter in the cause of death, you know, if it was cancer, heart attack, I'd start capitalizing it. Well, when it prints out, it says the cause of death was cancer with a big capital C. So I had to go through and remove all the capital letters, and unless it was something like ALS or, you know, something with initials, but that is, it's just key to, you know, you enter birth facts the same, especially protect, you know, burial fact, cause of death, you know, if you got baptism, confirmation, graduation, just be consistent on how you enter it. And I always think in the background, how is this going to print? So Carol asked if she can ask a question over the last few weeks. Yeah, I've got time to take a couple more questions.
Well, last week we covered the family chart and the photo album, and how to handle the media. And I went in and I made a bio in Word and then attached it to my person, and I wanted that to print before the family chart. What I ended up with, no matter how I played with it, was I got the two headings printed on one page, and then it skipped to the next page to start printing the bio. And that wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was the headings and then the bio to print before the family chart. It drove me crazy. I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong to get that to move that bio up to where it prints right after the headings. And the headings I'm referring to are like the first generation and and then the family of blah, blah, blah.
No, I think I accidentally closed that. Okay, so this is the user guide. Okay, so you had the handle story as text, and then you had it before then you also assigned this before family chart.
Yes.
So you had to have both.
And then I've also got those marked appropriately on the filter by media categories, the include and the exclude, so that it's over there.
Well, you don't need to bother with include. I mean, because that's only if you'd have it in exclude, and if you'd also have them in the exclude, but
Right.
Because include is just an override for exclude, but okay, so it's printing the headings, and then okay, you're not doing something like also doing something like handle like as new page. You're not assigning like one of these categories, are you?
Nope.
Yeah, I'd have to see it, or else contact Stefan through FBC support.
Okay.
Because somewhere there's an extra, or check the document. Maybe is there like a new page mark in the document itself?
Yeah, I turned on the for the like the paragraph for all the page markings and everything. I was looking for a page break. I didn't see a page break in there, which would cause it either.
Yeah, I'd say contact Stefan at FBC support, and
okay.
So I don't think that's something we're going to be able to discuss over or fix. That's not going to be a quick fix here. Because I'd actually have to see the files and experiment with them and stuff like that. So are there any more questions?
Oh, I have a question. Well, actually I have two. Let me get my note. I wrote this down before. Okay, like in just the regular book in Family Tree Maker 2019, before they came out with this creator book, I did like a page with 2 columns in Word. Okay, had a picture, had 2 columns. It was a story. I brought it into Family Tree Maker and it turned it into 1 page.
Yes.
Does this program change that? If I were to bring my 2-column page in, is it going to keep that format?
I think you need to Stefan can do. I think you need to tell it to keep sections. You have to also assign this category to it. I know sometimes if you bring it in, I haven't tried it lately because I know I did try it once, like loading them into like the dedication page, and that's something. It's like the sections that get stripped out. The section breaks get uh, stripped out.
Hmm.
But I think I tried doing this. Also assign this category the handle stories text keep sections. And that might do it. Otherwise, if you save the word in book and word, you can go back and apply the 2 columns to it. So
In family, the creator.
well,
Book
when Family
creator.
Book Creator creates the book, if you save it in Word, you can go back into Word and go to that section and bring back the columns. So
Because what I'm saying is, if I bring that in and I lose those columns, can I put the columns back in if I had to? Or can I
you would have to
create
put the
2-column documents
you would
in
have
the
to
book
put them
creator?
back into columns if Family Book Creator is stripping it out, because I know it does strip out the margins in the header footer, because it'll put in whatever the margins are for the book.
Right.
I'm not sure if it strips out the sections, but if it does, it's going to bring in all the data. When you save the book in Word, you can always go back in Word and put those columns back in.
Well, I'm not worried about that. What I want to do is have 2-column pages in Book Creator. Can I do that in Book Creator?
Oh, throughout the whole book?
Well, in sections or throughout the book, doesn't matter, but can you do that?
No, the only thing you've got options for columns is in the name and place indexes,
Okay.
where you can
So you
specify
can't
1, 2,
write
or
a
3.
story. You can't use their word processor and type in a story in this Book Creator and have it 2-column. You can't format it
You'd have to
in.
try it. I haven't tried it lately.
Okay.
Try
Because
try
I
it.
was some things in order to shorten the amount of pages,
Yeah,
I would rather do sometimes some 2-column things.
yeah. I'd say try it on one and see. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't tried that. So I've tried some in the early days of 2019, but that was like loading it into the dedication tab. And I know
Okay.
at that time it stripped them out. I don't know if it still does or not.
Okay.
So and
Yeah,
I
because that would be like the
it
main
in,
body of the book,
yeah.
The other thing I was wondering is in this Book Creator manual, I noticed that, like if you download the Family Tree Maker manual, you can it has links to, if you're in the index and you click on page 25, it'll take you to 25. But I noticed in this Book Creator, you don't have that option. You have to scroll through all this stuff just to get to where you want to go.
No, you do. There's links, because like on here, if you want to know how that
Because mine's not
handle
working.
sections, you click on it and it takes you right there.
Okay, because mine's not doing that. Of course, I
Uh,
don't have the paid version of anything, so I don't know.
well, there
I
is no
just
paid version of this manual.
Okay, because mine's not doing that.
Well, all I can say is just download the free version of Adobe Acrobat Reader, because Adobe is the one that does this format.
Well, I have
And
that.
well, then
This
it
is
should
in
work.
Adobe.
So, because it's like, here creating books. If I want to, book items, notes, and portraits, click on it, boom, it takes me there.
Yeah, I don't know what is the deal, but it's not doing that.
John, Stefan just responded to the columns.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, he did say, yeah, if you add content from a Word document and columns are going to be included, they are as they are in your original document. So that should work. So
Okay. Also, he says it does work in Adobe. I have Adobe Reader and
yeah,
it's not working. I'm looking at it right now.
I don't know, because I mean, you can maybe update it, see if there's an update, because I'm using Adobe Acrobat Reader right here.
Hmm.
So, and this is just
Strange.
the free version. So
Okay,
and I always recommend this. For a while I got off of it because for a while it was really becoming a hog space wise, but since then they've gotten rid of that, or else computers have just gotten faster. But I have noticed strange problems once in a while if you use some of those third-party ones, and it's like,
okay,
especially with bigger documents, and so it's like, yeah, I just stick with the Adobe Acrobat Reader. I mean,
okay. I'll check it further.
yeah, maybe see if there's an update or something. So, but that's what I'm using, and yeah, it's got the hyperlink. So, I mean, it's so anyway, well, yeah, so just as a reminder, next week there will not be a class because RootsTech will be going on. So the next class will be March 8th. So 2 weeks from now. And for that, we're going to be put this out of my way again. We're all done with the book items, so now we're going to be on the preferences. So I'm going to be just going over all these various name options. So I'll be going over this entire section of name formats.
Hey,
So
John, I got a question before you go, if you got time.
yeah, make it quick.
I got a large group of people I'm doing individual ancestry report books for them, but I want to do one digital descendant book for them in just digital form. One of the groups got like 24 pictures. I don't want to
Okay.
include all those in that descendant book. I just want maybe 2 or 3. Is there a way of marking the pictures as private and then clicking in something in FBC that would exclude those on the descendant report?
Well, yeah, because in photo album, you can just by default, unless you check this, you can either mark them as private. Now, do you sync your tree to Ancestry?
What was that again?
Do you sync your tree to Ancestry?
Yes.
Okay, now you can mark them private, but now if you do mark them private, when you sync it, it will remove those pictures from Ancestry.
Oh,
Instead, I create a custom media category in Family Tree Maker called like do not print. So any photo I don't want in the book, I will assign this media category to it. Do not print. And it can be any name. I mean,
yeah, I see.
so
Okay. It's a good idea. Glad you
yeah, because
mentioned
it's
that.
like I'll just go like media, and it's like, okay, let's just say this each. Let's just say, okay, I don't want that picture, you know. And it's categorize media, you know, and I just check on that do not print, and like this is not there by default, so you can click add and just say like do not print or whatever, you know.
Gotcha.
So you can just add whatever categories you want. So and so that's what I do is just assign it, and likewise you can assign multiple photos, just holding down the control, and then right click categorize media, you'll say all selected media, and then you can just tick okay, do not print, and then here, so that one's, you know, they've all got the do not print.
I got you. I got the concept.
So yeah,
Thank you very much.
so okay, so okay, we're gonna just say, okay, that's just at Adobe, the link is just adobe.com.
Okay, but I have pulled up.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get a bogus website. So I was looking here at it says info.com, then it says pdfsuite.com. I'm trying to find the Adobe, get Adobe Reader. Is this it?
Yeah, Adobe Reader. Just say download Adobe. Yeah, get adobe.com/reader. So
Okay, I'll make sure I have that in my computer.
yeah, that's
Because
the one
I
you want.
thought I did, and I do, but I don't think it's correct. Okay,
That's
thank
what you
you.
want. Okay. Take care, everyone. And then this recording will be up later this afternoon. So let me just, I've got everything all moved over all over the place. So
Thank you.
yeah. Let's see, where's my Zoom? Here we go.
Thank you. You're such a great teacher, John.
Yeah,
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Very patient too.